Hello and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Average EV. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different and something I've been working on for a while. I've been trying to figure out a way to kind of quantify charging speed and range and battery size and all those things, and I want to share that with you all. Again, this is kind of in the early stages, so I want to hear what you all have to say about all this and kind of things you think it could do to tweak it and whatnot. But I was trying to figure out, how could I put a number to what's the best road tripping EV? What's the best commuting EV? And that's what I have to share with you all today. Let's get into it. So I'm sure you've had a lot of people talk about how important it is to have fast charging, and when people want to buy a car, they want the fastest charging car, and that's kind of what they think about. And I've been, over the last few really months, trying to figure out, is that true? Do you need to have the fastest charging car? Now, obviously, if you have the fastest charging car, it's likely to be a pretty good road tripper, but do you have to? So I dug into a bunch of data. I collected battery sizes, average charging speeds, range, all of those things. And I tried to put together a number, and this number represents how efficient a car is for road tripping. And I also put together for daily driving, because I know that is another major concern for people when they're buying an electric car, because usually they want to either go great distances or they want it to be not inconvenient for their daily commuting needs. A couple things off the top that are important to note. For range, I use the EPA estimate. It's just what I have right now. Over time, as my channel grows and I'm able to collect data from the cars myself, I will use those numbers, but for right now, I'm using the EPA estimate. For the charging times, because I didn't really want to go and watch other people's content and take their data, because that's their data. I use ChargeWay, so I'm gonna kind of promote ChargeWay. I use their app. They have a charging timer thing. They collected data and then they put it in the app so consumers like you and I could use it. And so I basically figured out what the time was with the battery capacity, did all the math, and then I have the average charge speed. Obviously, some people might have faster charge speeds or slower, depending upon various conditions, but it's a number to work with, and since they're all coming from the ChargeWay app, I think it'll be a fair estimate. So that's kind of it. Let's dig into it. There's some definitely interesting findings that I want to share with you all. So I picked just the whole gambit of cars. Obviously the ID4 and the Kona are on there because those are the vehicles that I have access to on a regular basis, but I added some other fun ones like the Lucid Air Grand Touring with the super long range, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 with the super fast charging. The Lucid has fast charging too. The ID4, which is ours, the Mustang Mach-E rear wheel drive. We've got the Ford F-150 Lightning Lariat Extended Range Edition. For fun, I put the 2023 Toyota BZ4X front wheel drive and all-wheel drive. And the all-wheel drive data should be the same for the Subaru Solterra as well. The 2024 Hyundai Kona, which that information isn't out, but I used the charging curve of the new Kia Niro EV, which should be about the same. And I also had the slightly bigger battery pack than the 2021 Hyundai Kona, the 2023 Chevy Bolt, but that's being discontinued, but it's on there because I'm sure some people will have that vehicle. The Nissan Leaf and the 2023 Mini Cooper SE. So a bunch of different cars. I know you're like, why'd you put the Mini Cooper? Well, I put that on there for the commuting, and it kind of gets interesting when we start to talk about all of the commuting data. So, as you can see here, we have a bunch of different data points, but you can see the colorful data where it says EV Roadtrip Efficiency. And so this is the number I've kind of come up with. And essentially, what the road trip efficiency is how many miles are added from 10 to 50%. So that's the range I use, because I feel like most people feel comfortable going down to 10%. I feel comfortable going lower. Some people might want to go higher, but it's a good number. And then up to 50%. On a road trip, you're going to charge to 50, 55, 60%. But I feel like this is a good basis to kind of, figure out what is the most efficient road tripper. And then the other data point is the charge speed average. So what the average charge speed is from 10 to 50%. And then essentially what this EV road trip efficiency number is you combine the two. You add them together and it gives you this EV road trip efficiency number. The bigger the number, the more efficient. So let's just dig into the numbers. Obviously, if you've heard about the Lucid, you know it's got a lot of range and it charges really fast. So this is gonna be the natural first place spot with the Lucid Air Grand Touring Edition, and that has an EV road trip efficiency number of 450.4. Okay, so that is like creme de la creme. Okay, so that's awesome, and I don't think anything's gonna top it for a while. Below it, the next natural EV you all would probably think about is the Ioniq 5, and that has a road trip efficiency number of 306 because it has 121 miles added from 10 to 50%, and it has 185 kilowatts charge speed average. So you add those together, you get 306, and that's another great number. And I'm sure you've seen plenty of people road tripping the Ioniqs and the Lucids, and they're really enjoying their experience if the chargers work. Next, and I get everybody, I didn't fudge these numbers, I just put the data in. We have the Volkswagen ID4, which is what I'm in. 110 miles added from 10 to 50, and then an average charge speed of 149. So it's a pretty palatable road tripper. It's right on the bottom fringe though. I'm gonna tell you, I think the number cutoff I put was 250. And so it's a good road tripper. If you watch any of my road trip videos, I actually felt rushed. By the time I stopped, I had to go to the bathroom, I came back, and I really charged up more than I needed to by the time I got back to the car. So yeah, it's definitely a great road tripper. Now we have these vehicles in the yellow. I don't want you all to think yellow is bad. I'm just saying, like, these are where, like, you could definitely road trip them, but it's starting to get a little, you know, not as convenient and not as quick as you would probably want to if you wanted to road trip the vehicle. So you got the Mustang Mach-E. I know lots of people road trip the Mach-E, so I'm not saying it's a bad road tripper at all, but obviously you can see where it differs from the ID4 is it has a little bit more range, but a little bit less average charging speed, and that's why it was just under. So I think the Mustang Mach-E is another great road tripper. Don't be afraid because it's yellow. And again, that was a 245 EV road trip efficiency number. Then we've got the F-150 Lightning. I had to throw it on there with the extended range battery. 10 to 50, you get 128 miles, but the average charge speed is 100 kilowatts. So that's where we're starting to get into the, okay, we can road trip it, but is this gonna be the best road tripper? Now we're moving down to the bottom of this kind of yellow territory. Could you road trip it? Yes. And that is the Toyota BZ4X front wheel drive. So again, this is a good road tripper if you don't plan on taking a really big road trip. So if you only plan on charging 2 or 3 times, perfect. But if you're gonna, like when I went to Austin, Texas, I had to charge 14 times. The BZ4X basically reduces the maximum charging speed eventually, and it's gonna affect the road tripability. That's right, road tripability of the vehicle. So I do leave it on there, but with that caveat, because again, once it starts to reduce the charging speed to protect the battery, it becomes a not great road tripper. And that has a minimum, the score close to the minimum for that kind of chunk of 203 EV road trip efficiency. Now we're moving into the orange territory. The orange territory is you can road trip them, but you're gonna start to inconvenience yourself, and it's probably not worth your time. But if you don't mind, you just like seeing the sights, taking your time, then you could, you could probably use these vehicles if you would want to. We got the 2024 Kona, Hyundai Kona, 170 EV road trip efficiency. The 2021 Hyundai Kona, 162 EV road trip efficiency. See how the charging speed on the 2024 is better, which makes it a slightly better road tripper. Then we have the all-wheel drive BZ4X, which has a maximum charging speed of 100 kilowatts, which is not great, and that's why it really tanks it compared to the rear-wheel drive, which has a maximum of, I believe, 150. So that has a 161 EV road trip efficiency, a difference of 42. So that's a pretty big difference. All right, so then we have the Chevy Bolt with a 142 EV road trip efficiency. The reason why the Chevy Bolt comes up so low is the charge speed average. It has a really low charge speed average. It just takes too long to charge. And again, and I know people are gonna say in the comments, I road trip my EV Bolt, my Bolt EV, sorry, I said it the wrong way. And yeah, you can do it, but as far as it's gonna be really inconvenient for you. It's gonna take you way longer than one of these green or yellow vehicles, and you're gonna end up, really blocking a charger for other people who are trying to road trip away. But again, you have the right to the charger. So I'm not against a Chevy Bolt. I think my brother's actually gonna get a Chevy Bolt before they don't make them anymore. But here we are. Then we've got the Nissan Leaf, 122 EV road trip efficiency, and again, that's because the range isn't the best, and also the charge speed average is pretty low. I will say with the Nissan Leaf, and people can correct me in the comments, with the right charger, the Nissan Leaf can actually charge faster than this. But I was going based off of if you were at a 50 kilowatt limited, which is what is most available for CHAdeMO drivers. But this could be a borderline, actually yellow, possibly, if the charge speed average was up there a little bit more. It'd probably be closer to the 100, maybe 160, 170 EV road trip efficiency. So I'd love to hear what Nissan Leaf owners have to say about that down below. That would be awesome. And then lastly, we have the Mini Cooper EV. No surprise that this isn't going to be a great road tripper because it has such limited range. 45 miles of range added. 34 kilowatt average charging speed, and only an EV road trip efficiency of 79.6. That's the only one I wouldn't attempt to road trip. The Nissan Leaf would be pretty hard, but doable. Again, with the range added, you want to have at least 90 to 100 to 120 miles from 0 to 50, not 10 to 50, 0 to 50, so that you can actually make it to the next charger. And the Mini Cooper is just not going to cut it, and the Nissan Leaf is definitely on the fringe, but could do it. It could do it. So now we're going to move to the commuting side. Okay, so if you're more of a commuting driver like me, that's what I am. Although I do take road trips from time to time, as you all know. But this is what I care about, and I was having some trouble figuring out how to quantify this information for commuting. I was able to figure it out for the road trip pretty easy. Range, charge speed, let's add those together. That's what we should care about for a road tripper. But for a commuter, that information doesn't necessarily matter as much. Again, because some people are AC charging, some people are DC charging, some people charge once a week, some people charge every night. It just kind of depends what people's situation is. So essentially what I came up with was the EV daily driving efficiency. Okay, if you can think of better names for these that aren't an entire sentence, that would be awesome. But basically I have the home charging and the non-home charging, or charging out in the wild. All right, everybody, so we're gonna take a look at this data here, just a couple things so you know what's going on. As far as the charging at home, I basically assume that people have an 11.2 kilowatt charger. I know that that is not most people's situation, but that is kind of like the middle ground for all the new vehicles coming out and all the old vehicles that exist. An 11.2. The ID4 Pro has a onboard charger of 11.2 kilowatts. My Hyundai Kona is 7.2 kilowatt hours, and there's ones below and there's ones above. So I just want you all to kind of have an understanding of that. Again, the range is based off the EPA estimate, and we're running from a 30 to 80% charge. Why are we doing 30 to 80%? Great question. I was just trying to find like a middle way. I charge every night, so it's usually 60 to 65%, back up to 80%. Some people like to start at 80, bring it all the way down to 30, and then charge up again. So I just, what's a middle way? And this is what I chose to do. If someone charged all the way down from 80% to 30%, and then continued to do that over time. So here we go. Let's dig into these EV daily driving numbers. For the no home charging, you have to charge out in public, you live in an apartment, there's no charging infrastructure. Basically that number comes from the minutes it takes to charge on the DC fast charger, and then that is divided by the number of commutes per charge, okay? So basically I took, this 30 to 80% range, divided it by the national average miles commuted in a day, which is 41, and that gives me this commuting number, okay? So let's just take a look at Lucid for an example. It takes 19 minutes to charge 30 to 80%, and for people who are commuting, you would get 6.29 commutes out of that 19-minute charge. So since you only have to spend 19 minutes of your life for 6.29 commutes, that is really efficient in my opinion, and that gives us this number of 3.0193. So 3 is really efficient when it comes to charging for commuting when you're out in the wild. Okay, next we have the home charging efficiency, and obviously when you're charging on AC, it's going to take a lot longer. So I have it listed in hours, but when I did the EV daily driving efficiency number, I did translate the hours back to minutes so that it's kind of related to the not home charging. So for the Lucid Air, once you do all the math, you still 30 to 80%, you still get the 6.29 commutes, and you get an EV daily driving efficiency number of 46.72, which again is the best number we have on here as well. So these numbers, at least for me, will help most people. There's a couple things, outliers on here that I wanted to address because I just don't think that it represents the car well. So the Mini Cooper SE is a great commuter vehicle, especially if you live in a city. So if you have a smaller commute, but it definitely would be okay if you use it as your daily commuting vehicle anyways. If you drove 41 miles per day, you would just have to plug it in every single night. But as you can see on here, efficiency number wise, it comes out not doing very well because, well, it has a small battery. It doesn't have a lot of miles, so you only get like a commute out of it, or maybe a commute and a half, and it doesn't charge that great at home. Okay, so yeah, so obviously the Mini Cooper is a great commuter. The Nissan Leaf is a great commuter, but compared to other vehicles here that we have, it's not as good as them. So off the top, like, don't be offended. I'm just saying Mini Cooper is a good commuter. It's just not as good as other vehicles, especially if you don't want to charge every night, because I charge every night, but some people, they want to run it from 80% all week down to 30 and then recharge. Okay, so that is that with kind of this system I created and everything about it. All right, everybody, so we're gonna take a look at some of these numbers with this EV daily driving home efficiency. So again, we in this green area, we've got the Lucid Air, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, ID4, Mustang Mach-E rear-wheel drive extended range, the F-150 Lariat extended range, and the Toyota BZ4X front-wheel drive. All are great commuters. You get 3 commutes out of it. Good range. The charging when you're out in public is not too bad. The longest being the Lightning, which is 36 minutes, which isn't the end of the world. But all these are under 30 minutes of charge, which isn't that inconvenient for anybody. And you could, go run to Walmart, plug in, charge, get your stuff, come out, and be good to go. So those are all really great options. Then moving into the orange territory, you got the Hyundai Konas and the Toyota BZ4X all-wheel drive. And I drive a Kona and it's a great commuter. So I'm not saying orange is bad. But again, it's just not as efficient when it comes to the other vehicles. But they certainly could all be, like, they're all great commuters. They could all be green, honestly, when we're working here. And then the next kind of area we've got is the Chevy Bolt, Nissan, and Mini Cooper SE. Again, they're all good commuting vehicles. It's just if you're going out to charge it in public, it's just gonna take a while. So the Chevy Bolt to get that 30 to 80%, it's gonna take you 52 minutes. The Nissan Leaf, 61 minutes. The Mini Cooper, again, it's not that long of a charge time, but you only get 1.39 commutes. So it's just not super efficient. Great commuter, but that would definitely, but something you should think about when you're looking at these cars is like, how long am I gonna have to spend charging in public? Because that is a concern you should have. Now, moving over to if you have home charging, this is where it gets a little interesting, because obviously most of these, if you plug in and you have the 11.2 kilowatt charger, they're going to be charged overnight. But again, it's just which are the most efficient as far as your charge time versus how many commutes you're getting out of it. So we've got the Lucid Air again, the Ioniq 5, ID4, Mustang Mach-E, we've got the Hyundai Kona, 2024 Hyundai Kona, and then the 2023 Chevy Bolt. Now, the reason the Chevy Bolt has kind of like flown up to being a really great commuter for when you charge at home is because it has an 11.2 kilowatt onboard charger. So if you have that at home, that is an awesome commuting car, because it's gonna give you charge back fast. It gets you 3 commutes. And yeah, really solid commuter. Then we get into the oranges with the Lariat, my model year Kona, the 2021, and the Mini Cooper SE. Again, it's the Mini Cooper. It just has a low number. It's orange because of the commuting number. It only gets 1.39 commutes. And then we have our reds, the Toyota BZ4X front wheel drive and the all-wheel drive, and the Nissan Leaf. And basically with these, again, you could commute with them, but the big issue is the onboard charger. The Toyota BZ4X onboard charger, I believe, is only 6.6 kilowatt max, which most people, that might be all they have. But again, it just doesn't charge as fast as the other cars do. So that's why the efficiency number is so much lower than all of the other ones. And same with the Nissan Leaf, the home charging is just a little bit longer than the other ones. But again, none of this is bad. They're all under, let me see, they're all under 6 hours. And I don't know about you, but I sleep like 7 or 8 hours. So I'm home at least 10 to 12 hours. So as long as you plug in, any of these cars are going to be fine. But if you're looking for the most efficient, which one do I have to charge the least? What's gonna, be most economical cost-wise for energy costs? You're gonna want to look at these ones in the green. And then the last number, which I was trying to find something to make it fair for the Mini Cooper and some of these other commuting cars, but I basically did time to recover 1 commute, so 41 miles, 1 AC. And again, we've just got the Lucid Air killing it, Ioniq 5, the 2024 Hyundai Kona, the 2023 Chevy Bolt, all doing a great job there. I do want to note, I'm pretty sure, with the Hyundai 2024 versus 2021, and maybe I shouldn't have put it in here, and you all can yell at me in the comments, but they upgraded the Kia Niro onboard charger. So I just assume that they're gonna upgrade the Kona onboard charger, but they might not. So if that is the case, then the Kona, 2024 Kona and 2021 Kona would actually be the same when it comes to the AC charging. But anyways, I just want to let you all know that off the top. Anyways, we've got, the 2024 Kona, and then all the yellows, the ID4, Mustang Mach-E, the Lightning Lariat, 2021 Kona, the Nissan Leaf, all that's not too bad. We're looking at an hour to an hour and a half. And then basically all the oranges are over an hour and a half, 104 minutes, so an hour and 34 minutes. And then the Mini Cooper's an hour and a half. None of that's bad. All that is not bad at all. But if you're someone who drives and then you come home and you go and drive again, those green cars might be a better option for you, because you're going to recoup range a lot faster and be a little bit less stressed. So everyone, that's kind of all I have here with these different efficiency numbers that I kind of created. I know they're not perfect, but I just kept coming back to hearing people just talk about wanting fast charging, and you don't necessarily need it. Now, we did see fast charging does help, but the ID4 held its own up against some other cars, and it's an admirable, like, you can road trip in it. It's not as fast as Lucid, not as fast as the Ioniq 5, but it's pretty good. And I had to make a number, and this is what I've got right now. So here's what I want from you all. I want your feedback. What do you all think about it? Should I adjust things? Should I publish this information, or should I wait until I start to collect my own data about the cars? Like, what do you all want? I can easily put the Google link in the description if you all want it. Just let me know in the comments. I just thought that a number, like, oh, okay, that's what a Lucid is, and this is what a Chevy Bolt is. Oh, it is a much better road tripper, and I want a road trip, so maybe I'll get the car. I just thought this would be a much more helpful number. I don't know. So leave your comments down below. As always, thanks for watching. I know this was a little bit longer and maybe a little bit more verbose video, but I was trying to create something new that would be beneficial to the EV community. So again, thanks for watching. Please remember to give a like and a subscribe, hit the notification bell, and as always, I will catch you all next time.